Sorry, Cross. Licio,
Here.
Tabit,
Here.
Ward,
Here.
Olson.
And here, I think he'll be right back. So we're gonna jump right in. We got some proposed language amendments to the City of Baxter dog ordinance. Yeah, we'll turn it over to the chief and go from there.
All right, thanks, Mayor. Included in your packet was information on the proposed language change. I can probably share my screen if I need to. I wasn't really prepared, but hopefully it was pretty self-explanatory. So in a nutshell, what we're looking to do is bring the hearing authority component of a dangerous dog back to the city council. Currently, what we follow at this time is strictly state statute. And that's our animal control officer who runs with most of these. We have a very good animal control officer out there now. He's been with us a couple of years. It was a great hire. And within that, then he takes care of potentially dangerous and dangerous dogs. So within the dangerous dog component, if you get to that point, it's very spelled out in all the statute language I sent you. But in the end, the owner of the dog has the right to a hearing. And there's a process in place where they would have to request that hearing. And then we, in turn, provide an objective hearing board or person to listen to that. The way it's currently set up, we would most likely run it past our city prosecutor or city attorney. If he maybe chooses to conflict it out for whatever reason, then he would recommend another third party, which is what's happened to us in the past, not related to dangerous dogs, but a liquor violation in one of our undercover buys years ago. We had one of the businesses contest it. Brad Person did a conflict. We hired out Chris Robinson. And in the end, we ended up losing that to the business owner. So I think it cost us $200-300. We had to pay the attorney, and then we didn't collect the fine anyway. But in this particular case, what I would like to do is bring it back to the council for a couple of reasons. Number one, the money component. It's either way, it's either going to cost the city or potentially the dog owner money if they request a hearing. Somebody's going to be on the hook for those fees. And number two, in all honesty, I trust the council that you'll make a good decision in the end. Whereas if we send it to the city attorney and he decides to conflict it out, I don't know where it's going to go. And I don't like that feeling of not knowing which direction it's going to end up. The other part of it, the mayor asked earlier statistics on this. This was all kind of prompted by a case here in town the last month or so, maybe 2 months. It's been playing out now, but in the end, our animal control guy deemed a dog dangerous dog, and the owner requested a hearing. We actually worked out a deal. He sent the dog out of town to a farm, and we avoided the hearing part of it. All parties were agreeable to it, but that's kind of what prompted the discussion on this again. So in talking with animal control, he's the one that suggested doing it this way. He's seen it done. Well, Brainerd, for instance, does it this way, and he's talked to his peers, and a lot of them have found, or they're set up similar where the council has final say in it. So that's kind of the backstory on it. So the language change would bring that back to city council versus either the prosecutor or finding another outside objective party to hear it. So I guess with that, I'd stand for any questions, thoughts, concerns.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
Chief, thank you for explaining. My first question is going to be what caused this? And so it's due to a specific incident in the city of Baxter, correct?
Yep, just that one. Prior to that, my 25 years, we've never gotten to a point where somebody has requested a hearing. We probably generate a couple, 3 dangerous dogs every 1 to 2 years. You know, we have a lot of cases that go potentially dangerous, which is the step before. But then to get to the dangerous dog, you know, it's probably 2 or 3 every 1 to 2 years. But yeah, in this case, this was the first time in my history with the department that somebody requested the hearing. It's kind of an unnerving feeling for me, not, you know, because in that case, the only thing that could have gone bad was that somebody ruled in favor of the owner and that dog would have stayed there, because I think even the owner kind of recognized he wanted it elsewhere, but we didn't, it really limited our options. You know, within statute 2, the council could rule finding an agreement with the dog owner. You know, it's not outside of statute language that you could come to some sort of agreement, and that's where we ended up with this other owner too. But I didn't want to. I felt like I'd lose control a little bit if we sent it to an attorney or an outside attorney.
So let me ask this question. If it comes back to the council then, and it's a hearing is requested, is that a special meeting for the
Yep.
council? How does that work? What's the process there? And it's
Yep.
an open meeting. It's an open meeting at that point, correct?
Yep, we would handle it in the work session prior to a meeting, and within the language that was sent, I think it talks about the timeline. I don't remember it exactly, but when requested, the hearing would be at the next council meeting. And in talking with the city administrator, we would run it through our work session component. So that way you and I could interact and discuss, but the public wouldn't be allowed to have their input there. They would, if there's concerns, they could then bring it up in the open discussion at the meeting, the regular council meeting.
I think that what the chief shared earlier on was his concern was not burdening the council with, potentially uncomfortable, unpleasant scenario there. And yet I think that overall, the one bad experience we had with the liquor situation kind of confirmed it probably that, man, we could do that job. We could do better than that and save $200-300. And so that kind of was an instigator. But in my time here, we've never had one. So it's not like this is going to be a monthly thing or a weekly thing. And so I don't think it's going to be an overburden for the council. Plus, I think it's probably a good thing where the people, if they got a legitimate case, they bring it to the council and the council can make that decision. So I think it's I think it's a win-win thing. And I think it can also be expedited and wrapped up faster, probably by going that route too, than tying it up in this other scenario. Anybody got any objections to that or problems with it? Questions? Okay.
I guess my only comment would be if during the work session, if citizens obviously can't have their input or don't have their input, the person bringing the complaint would be allowed to speak, I'm assuming, right? So that's my point. If they can't speak during the work session and have to wait until the council meeting when the decision is already made, that seems not good to me.
Right. I guess I was referring to general public conversation.
Okay.
Maybe I didn't explain that well, but yeah, the owner of the dog would be allowed input at that point in time.
Okay.
Because it's in the work session setting, I think generally the mayor can kind of control that, and we wouldn't have, a neighborhood full of people trying to voice their concerns. I guess what I would suggest at that point in time is we would limit it to my input, animal control input, owner input. And then if there's other people who wish to talk, I guess it'd be up to the mayor if he wants to entertain that or not, or push it to the public setting, open to, if they want to make public comment during the open session in the regular council meeting.
Well, Brad, would the decision be made at that workshop or at the council level?
Typically, you can't make decisions in a work session setting. It has to be done in the regular scheduled meeting.
And our public comments is immediately after we open our meeting, so they'd only have to stick around a few minutes to get their comments in, and they would still get comments in before we made a decision, so should be covered.
Correct.
Okay, good point, though. Again, I've never seen it happen yet. Now it might, but Zach?
Just briefly, I don't know how far it's worth taking this, but I just, as I was thinking through what you were just discussing, it might be worthy of note to consider crafting a basic policy of, like, to lack of a better term, like a rules of evidence kind of concept of who, if there's a legitimate witness that needs to speak before us as part of the hearing, just to note so that you don't have a bunch of character witnesses show up on behalf of the dog or whatever that may not actually be relevant. Just thinking it through, if we're actually going to do that, just so you have something to stand by and say, this person can speak, this person's just here to watch, that kind of stuff. I don't know how deep a person wants to go. Just a thought.
Yeah.
Right. And as we kind of talk this through too, I mean, it doesn't have to be specifically a part of the work session either. I mean, we could call it a hearing of sorts prior to the meeting. I think as we enter into it, I'm going to know, animal control is going to know what we're up against. He's faced several over in Brainerd now. One was very contentious. The others were more open and shut. The contentious ones, there was a lot of people who wanted to speak up and not really talk to the facts of the case. So that's where it got a little crazy, I guess.
Okay, Mark, real quickly.
Yeah, just real quick. It would have to be a special hearing before the work session if we're going to make any kind of motions.
Okay. Well, staff, you can put some of those things together and bring it back. We'll take a peek at it. If there's nothing else, I'd look for a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Cross. Roll call.
Cross,
Yes.
Licio,
Yes.
Tabit,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes, we'll be right back with the council meeting here.